Hello, welcome back to Brainstation Live Learning. In this episode, I want to do a bit of improvisations. Basically, I'm curious about a node that's called bake. So bake is obviously for baking. We have baking for animations and for still. And first of all, I think I need to probably deform these objects and just animate it that way and then try to bake it. I think that's the simplest thing I could think of. Maybe so I'll set position. Okay, we have this default cube. I'll save this as bake test. Okay, bake X. I will do like subdivisions, subdivision surface. So I turn it into a sphere, and we can set position and use noise. But for today, I'll try something different. I'll use Voronoi. So Voronoi texture, and you might think, okay, you plug the Voronoi into offset. You can do it that way. That's one thing. But in my case today, I will use position of the Voronoi and plug this into positions. And this is actually kind of interesting. The Voronoi texture have position vector that we can use to any objects, and it's gonna deform it somehow. So I can use 4D and I can play around with the W. So at the moment it's kind of flickering too much. Maybe I'll just increase the scale. We can control the randomness. If the randomness is really low, we get something that looks like a voxel, which is kind of interesting. But anyhow, for our purpose, we just need a time, and I just plug this second into the W. So we have animated objects. So that's all that we need for our baking. Maybe smooth this object. We can actually, with our Voronoi, we can use F2 or smooth. Yeah, smooth, I think it's kind of nice. Increase the randomness. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like a bubble thing that's happening, deforming our mesh. Anyway, we want to play around with the bake. So we have animations and still. So with this baking, apparently we can bake out and create a custom path. I have tested this earlier, so it's kind of like exporting Alembic, like baking the mesh and turn it into data that you can reload. Anyhow, for now, just maybe try this, and I think I will set a custom range 1 to 100. So 1 to 100, it's gonna deform, and I will save as custom path test bake. So if I bake, so it's gonna bake that object. If I wonder if I disconnect this, so I still have the animations, which is nice. So we don't need to recalculate the whole thing again, even though it's already really fast. So that's one bake. We could make another bake, maybe different custom range, 100 to 200, custom path, test bake 2, accept, and then we can bake again. We should have some object here on the desktop. So it's called blob and meta. They are really small, but yeah, it's working. Kind of wondering what happened if we we use a different objects like Suzanne. If we have Suzanne, okay, monkey. Oh, It's no longer called Suzanne, but it's just a monkey. It's still called Suzanne there. Uh, what happened if we plug this there and oh, it's still keeping the objects. Okay, so it doesn't work like that way. So what's kind of missing here, I think, is a way, can we modify the time of the bake? So that's still kind of a mystery for me. Maybe there's a way to do that, but you can apparently bake a still of a geometry. I kind of thought about this earlier. I was playing around with this. So if we have like, okay, we have two bake here, animated bake. What if I want to have control on the frame? What if we have multiple frame like this and we connect our object? Let's do it the smart way using options and then just drag it. So we have these objects, right? We can play around with the time range. Let's say if I bake at frame 10 as a still and I go to this one, bake at frame 20 and then 30 and then 40, yeah, something like that. So we have 4 different bake. Of course they will have a different mesh geometry, right? So the next thing I will use the index switch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. By doing this, of course, we have 4 different frames that we can scrub. So we suddenly have control over still of the frame, and then we can repeat it, right? So this is kind of interesting, I think. We can use our own time. So 1 to 3 will have frames. If we use math and modulo, or modulo or ping pong, we can ping pong the animations. Yeah, we have like a flickering kind of animations like that. Okay, you sort of get the idea. It's kind of like baking a mesh animation at that point in time. I kind of wish this bake is baked, but where's the time offset? Where's the time offset? It's still kind of missing. Maybe future Blender. I'm using Blender 4.1. Maybe 4.2 will have time offset that will work with the bake. I don't know about that yet. But let's say if we replace the objects with the monkey anyway, like the input's gonna be the geometry, the monkey. What if we specify, okay, let's see, this guy, let's delete our bake. So I delete all the bake, just removing all the cache. And for the bake, for the still bake, we need to be in particular frame, right? So it's modifying Suzanne, as you can see. Let's hide this original Suzanne. Let's reduce the subdivisions. So Suzanne is now animating like crazy. I kind of wondering, okay, I think the still image need a custom, we can provide a custom path, but the animations, I mean, it should have like a custom range, like 1 to 1, this is probably better to do it. But anyway, still doesn't have the custom frame, so we need to be on the frame, and then we need to rebake. Then, so this is something that I think we can script it, So we have like we have X number of bake mesh that we can plug into the index switch, so we can play around with this idea. So maybe by doing this, we can really have control over the frame of our mesh, just like kind of like a Alembic, right? So this is the idea. still kind of basic. I'm just testing if this is actually working. So yeah, this is weird, right? This one, oh, the copy one need to be baked as well. So like I said, this is kind of weird, but I have a feeling we can bake it this way. So for this first one, I will bake at frame 10, second one 20, third one 30, this one custom ring 40. Apparently I need to rebake it this way, which is really weird. And now I can play around with the frame, just like Alembic. Alembic is that if we export as Alembic, you know, it's like a sequence of mesh, kind of that same idea. So if we have, instead of the monkey head, now if we replace this with a different geo, I could quickly bake. Now it's becoming a different object that we can animate using the index, right? It's kind of the idea. So it's now flickering, kind of like animated GIF, ping pong, or use wrap or modulo, float modulo maybe. Yeah, flickering. Flickering type of effects. We have how many frames? 4. If 5 is going to be flickering like that, 4, yeah, because we have 4 frames, so it's kind of looping. Yeah, all right, so that's the idea. And then this monkey head, if it's really different, I can offset it this way. I add a value, so this one is slightly offset 1 frame. Imagine if I have 100 frame, so its object's going to be animating differently, but it's all baked. Yeah, bake on the, you know, using frame 10, 20, 30, 40. These baked objects remain as it is. We can replace the objects and then maybe set a script that's bake it for 100 frame or something. We're gonna have 100 of these nodes. So I'm kind of wondering if we actually reopen the file, I save it and then reopen. If I make a new file and then reopen, will the bake stay? Yeah, the bake stay, and Blender kind of crashes. Anyhow, that's the whole thing that I want to show today. Maybe in the next video I'll do the same thing but using script. All right, so thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.